why do we expect all musicians to teach? It's often one of the assumed career paths that a musician would go down, and I've, for years now, been trying to figure out why. Now, I actually think that teaching is an amazing profession to go into. I teach myself, just privately. I'm going to do a whole video on the differences between private and school. That's a different topic. But musicians kind of get pushed into teaching when, quite frankly, a lot of them shouldn't, because they hate it and they end up doing a lot more harm than good. We're going to do the pros first because I'm in a good mood and I feel like it. The first pro is a massive one. It is that you have the opportunity to be such a good influence in these kids' lives. You are quite a neutral person to them. You're not a parent, you're not a school teacher necessarily. You can be quite a safe space, and that is both a huge privilege and a huge responsibility, but we'll get onto that later. Now, I don't want anyone to get too excited. Maybe you should sit down for this one. But teaching as a freelancer can also offer you a steady, reliable, predictable income. I know, such things exist.
Say what?
No, but in all seriousness, especially when I started out, you have no idea where your next playing gig or paycheck is going to be coming from. So having some weekly, reliable teaching can be, an absolute game changer. That reliable, steady income doesn't have to be teaching, by the way, but that's a separate video. Teaching also actually just uses a lot of the skills that you already have, particularly if you have just graduated from music college. You're kind of in that mindset of nitpicking and going into detail and learning technique and all of these kinds of things. So a lot of the stuff that you're teaching is stuff that you already know. You've just been through it. So there's relatively little learning to be done on the actual subject that you are about to teach. If you choose to teach privately, this also offers you a huge amount of freedom because you can kind of set, within reason, your own working hours and days and things like that. For example, I don't teach past 7 p.m. and I don't teach on weekends. Those are just boundaries that I've put in place because they work for me, my life. I have a husband who has a quote-unquote normal job, and saying that made me realise that I didn't put my rings on this morning, so let's not start any rumours. But those are just boundaries that we chatted about and put in place so that we can actually also live our lives. Another big pro about teaching is that the money is pretty decent, especially if you are teaching privately. Double check what the rates are in your area. Just ask a few people. You can do a quick Google, you'll find it out. And make sure that you're in that same ballpark. You don't want to be pricing yourself too far above. You also do not want to be pricing too far below. If you are seen to be undercutting people, it ain't good. So bear all of that in mind. But the money is good as an hourly rate. So if you enjoy it, then it can be an absolute win-win. If you would like to support me and my channel in some way, then I have set up a Buy Me a Coffee page. This is just a really easy way that you can support me and my channel as it grows. Basically, I am saving up some new equipment so that I can bring you better quality content. Link is in the description bar if you would like to do that. Let's carry on with the rant. Possibly the greatest perk is that you will get offered a lot of tea. Cheers. Okay, so we had to get to the cons at some point. The first downside of it for me is that it is extremely tiring. You are putting so much energy and concentration and focus into these lessons, and that is really, really draining. From my own personal experience teaching privately, I can't really teach more than 4 students in an evening. Otherwise, I can't really, by the end of it, I can't form coherent sentences and I can't give that end pupil my best. So for me, that's my line, that's my boundary. I have to keep it, otherwise I can't be the best teacher for them. When I tell you it can be frustrating, I don't think you truly understand what I mean. Kids are kids and they don't always practice, and sometimes it can feel like you're either just giving the same lesson over and over and over again, or other times you just feel like you spend your whole life doing this. No. Another really important downside to consider is that you don't get paid during the holidays, and especially when you're first starting out and you're really relying on this income, that can be quite tricky to navigate. So just bear that in mind when you are A, setting your prices, and B, just kind of financially planning your month. This is one of the big perks about teaching privately, and I will be doing a whole video on this because obviously that's where my experience lies, in that sometimes parents want their kids to have lessons during the holidays, so that can work out really, really well. But just bear in mind that in most cases, you will not be doing lessons during the holidays, and especially over the summer, that's a big old chunk of time that you are not getting the same income as you are used to getting in term time. Whoops, how long's that been there? I do apologise. So would I recommend going into teaching? Ultimately, yes. There are a huge number of benefits to it, but I would caveat that with, if you don't enjoy it, there is so much else you can be doing. However, it is a job that can complement a playing career really, really well if you play it right. And if you're thinking, well, Heather, that's great, but what are these other jobs that you are talking about? Then watch this video here. It'll give you some really, really great ideas, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.